originally maybe the research that you were doing was meant for a documentary. Obviously the film we saw today was not a documentary. Can you talk about the genesis of this film and how it went from documentary research into what we see?
Yeah, my previous two movies were documentaries, and I started this research with the idea of making a documentary movie film about Metronom, the radio show, and about the personality of Cornel Chiriac, the host of that show, because I was so amazed by his personality and his about him in every aspect. And I started the research, and I read a lot of Securitate, secret police files, even Cornel Chiriac's file. And when I read those files, I discovered that the secret police were investigated, they were interested in the high school young people and what they were doing. And then I made somehow the switch, and I told myself, okay, I'm not gonna do a movie about Cornell, I'm gonna make a movie about the people who are listening to him and to his show, the generation of my parents. And I decided that it's much interesting, it would be much interesting to make it like a feature film, a fiction, than a documentary, because we didn't have any archives, footage from parties back then and so on. And I decided, okay, I will invent a story, I will try to make it interesting and use everything that the whole research as a background for my story. So it was like a really hard for me to keep the story and to integrate somehow the love story in the background and in his story, because I'm interested in his story, and all my movies are based on the past. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask about that kind of, because I think the unique strength of the film is that it's this kind of high-minded, political, philosophic film about freedom and the desire toward freedom, but also as the sweet love story, coming of age. Can you talk about the tug and pull between those two elements as you're crafting this film?
I'm thinking like this to tell small stories based on the backdrop of the big history. Because an universal story that everyone can relate to, it's much more important than to make a film about just a history. So I'm using the history as the big history, but I'm telling small stories, and I avoided to make a film about communism and to use all the cliches about communism and you know, like, and I just use the history to serve their love story, the betrayal, the forgiveness, and everything, yeah.
Yeah, so almost like focusing on smaller other details that history kind of reveals itself in
Yeah,
ways.
exactly, yeah.
Right. Does anyone from the audience have a question? Raise your hand high and don't be shy. I do want to ask, I'd be remiss without talking about the period-specific details and the design of the film. Everything down to the color, the rich, like brown, earthy tones. Can you talk about the design process? It just feels like the period. Even if it's not a period I am particularly familiar with, there's a deep feeling in the design and the images.
It's a period that I'm not familiar to, so I had to make another research, and I decided with the director of photography, he chose the palette of colors, and we shared that palette to the whole team and the whole department for costumes and set design, and everyone has to respect somehow that colors. And then we use this format, like a square format of shooting, it's to simulate the film stock, the 35mm film. and then we added in post-production some grain, and we used some vintage lenses, even the equipment was really modern, camera and everything, but we used the lenses from that period. So we tried to make it as authentic as we could, even though it was really hard to make it. But talking about colors, yeah, we were really
Specific.
yeah, specific about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Any question? Yeah, we have a question here.
Thank you for the movie. I wanted to tell you that this happened to me in real life, this whole thing. One of my boyfriends was a Secret Service person, and he ratted on all of our friends, and he actually ran to Germany when the revolution started because we all wanted to kill him. So we couldn't find him. We went with baseball bats to beat him up, and his mom told us that he had just left for Germany. And it was really bizarre because we went to the Secret Service and we heard the people being beat up in the background, and it was insane. So, I think that the one thing missing is that we were funnier. The jokes about Ceausescu was never ending, and that always got us in trouble, always. But it happened to me personally, this whole thing, and it's so eerie. I didn't expect it, so, but I successfully escaped, and we made it, so.
Good for you.
Thank you very much for it.
Yeah, I have a remark about what you said about the jokes, and I agree that could be funnier, the movie. And even though in the first place I didn't want to mention at any point Ceausescu's name, but in the end, under the pressure of producers, everyone told me, okay, you are gonna show the movie to a wider audience, maybe in other countries, so you have to help them to learn the period and to relate with something, because I was so afraid not to make another movie about communism. So so that's why I integrated those jokes with Ceausescu and his portrait in the Securitate. Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
So, first of all, I thought you made a powerful yet tender movie. I really liked it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was impressed by Mara Bugarin. I didn't see her before. And I wonder how was the casting process? How did you find these actors?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And it was her first role. She's a student. She's studying theater directing, and her sister, she's a, let's say, famous Romanian actress. And I discovered her just 1 week before the shooting, because I was starting this project years ago, and I had another girl, another actress in mind, and I just, in the 1 week before the shooting, I was just wanted to find somebody else, and I discovered Mara and Răzvan Lazarovici, the other, his boyfriend, her boyfriend, and she was like really learning and discovering the project in the making. So yeah, she was really fresh, and I wanted something fresh because it was a lockdown, and the other actors were like really, I don't know how to say it. They couldn't perform anymore, so I had to decide to change the whole cast just 1 week before the shooting. Yeah. And I was really happy to discover her because she's really good, and yeah. And it was really nice to work with her because I let her giving me some advices, and I gave her some directions, and it was a permanently exchange of things and thoughts, and she was really involved in the making. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, question from here.
I really loved your film. I'm a bit unclear on how to read the ending, however. Are we meant to think that that she decides to become a collaborator, or that she forgives him and life goes on? Or I'm wondering how we're supposed to read the ending.
It's not really an open ending. It's quite focused. I'm sorry. And yeah, talking about the last scene with everyone staying there and talking about their exams, and they're happy that their lives goes on. I was thinking about this scene more like in Alien movie, when the monster installs in the body of the victim, but no one knew about that, you know? And yeah, that ugliness, and they are the next generation when the monster installs in them, you know? I hope that I answered your question, yeah.
Do you have any more questions from the audience? Yeah, right here.
Just about the ending right there, when they're going over the test, all the characters in that story, is that like a canonical, famous Romanian story that I should be familiar with, that they're trying to learn the answers to?
I didn't get your question, I'm sorry.
Oh, about Florica and what they're being tested.
Is it a well-known story? They're being tested on?
Okay, yes, it's a famous Romanian novel that I've studied too, and it's the students they studied today too, so it's really like a mainstream. It's like Kitchen in the Rye, you know. So it's really mainstream novel that they were talking about in the end. So yeah, they were happy that they get that novel. Yeah.
More questions from the audience? Yeah, right here.
I just wanted to tell you that I enjoyed the Romanian pop as much as the American pop.
Yeah, the Romanian pop is great in the film. I do want to ask about the music, though. In general, how do you go about selecting which songs to feature? And maybe if you could talk a little bit about that dancing scene, which is just the sort of the core of the movie, I think. Can you talk about those things?
I'm really musical. I play music, I play electronic music, and I wrote a script listening to a lot of Romanian and American and British pop. And during my writing, I locked some scenes with that particular music in mind. So that dancing scene, the title of that dancing scene was called like the title of the song. And the Doors scene was like the Doors scene, and the Janis Joplin scene was the Janis Joplin scene. And I discovered some underground Romanian music, like the song when she was making the phone call. It's a really obscure song. It's a folk and at the same time traditional folklore music. And I was really happy to be able to integrate this kind of music in the film and to balance the Western music and the Romanian unknown music and unknown artists. And yeah, so during the shootings, I had some gentleman's agreement with the music distribution companies in order to be able to shoot with the music on the set. Because the dancing scenes, even the Doors and the Romanian dancing were shot with the music on the set.
Playing on the set.
Yeah, playing on the set. We didn't put the music on post-production. So that's why the shots are really long, but in the same time they are really alive, because they were dancing. I tried at some point to let them dance in a blind, but it was was really fake. So I let them dance with the music and be free and be able to enjoy that music. Because okay, yeah. So we use the music on the set during the shootings.
Right. Do we have one more question? Yeah, right here.
Tell a little bit more for those of us that don't know about the European radio station that was specifically a Romanian station? I don't know how that all works.
The question was about the Radio Free Europe station, and is it specifically Romanian, or could you talk about Radio Free Europe a little bit?
Radio Free Europe, it was based in Munich, in Germany, and it was in the mirror with Voice of America, and they were broadcasting for all the Eastern Europe, and they had section for Czechoslovakia, for Bulgaria, for Romania, for Hungary, for Yugoslavia, and but that specific show, Metronom, it was the only musical program broadcasted by all the countries. So every country were listening to this show, even if it was in Romanian. They were listening because of the music, but it was the only way of finding new artists or discovering Western music. And Cornel Chiriac, he was translating the English titles in Romanian, and he was adapting the lyrics in Romanian. For example, he translated the Jesus Christ Superstar opera rock opera, and he translated the lyrics in the really archaic Romanian language and in rhymes. So he was reading before the show, before every song, he was reading the lyrics, and then he was playing, after that he was playing